Have you ever met someone who made silence feel alive, as if every unspoken word between you carried meaning and every pause felt like a story of its own? There's a rare kind of peace in people like that, a quiet depth that speaks without trying, and a warmth that settles gently into the space they occupy. They don't need to fill silence, they understand it. Their calm becomes a rhythm that slows the room around them. You notice their presence not because they seek attention, but because their energy feels whole, balanced, grounded, safe. This audiobook is about that kind of presence, the unspoken charisma that makes a person unforgettable without effort. It's about learning how to hold yourself with peace so steady that it turns into strength. Chapter 1. The Power of Silent Presence. True attraction begins when the noise within you fades. When you stop competing to be seen and start listening to the quiet around you, your energy shifts. People feel that difference. They sense your stillness and lean toward it because calm energy is rare, and everything rare draws attention. Those who master presence understand the art of doing less, but meaning more. They move with intention instead of hurry, listen before they speak, and never rush to fill the space between words. That patience becomes magnetic. It tells the world you're confident enough to be silent. Silence doesn't hide your emotions. It refines them. It allows your confidence to breathe and your energy to speak clearly. When your mind is calm, your body follows, and your movements begin to express control without a single word. That's what silent power looks like. Effortless, steady, unshaken. People remember the calm ones because calmness feels like truth. It's the energy that says, "I know who I am." And when you carry that energy long enough, others start to feel safer in your presence. That's how quiet turns into charisma, not through performance, but through peace. To be silently attractive, you must first be still inside yourself. Breathe slower, think softer. Let your awareness guide your movements instead of your ego. When your silence holds meaning, every glance, every word, every pause becomes powerful. Your calm is your language. Learn to speak it beautifully. The secret of a silent presence is not found in how much you speak, but in what your energy says before your words ever begin. People don't remember noise. They remember how they felt when the noise disappeared. When you can hold yourself with stillness, when your peace does not depend on approval, you begin to radiate quiet authority. Silence built on confidence feels different from silence built on fear. One hides from the world, the other understands it. When you are truly calm, you no longer shrink. You expand. You become open, receptive, and grounded. Your silence no longer feels like absence. It feels like strength. People sense that difference immediately, and that's what makes them trust you without knowing why. There is a language inside stillness that words cannot imitate. It lives in your eyes when you listen without judgment, in your posture when you stand with balance, in the softness of your tone when you finally speak. Calm people communicate through presence, not pressure. They don't try to impress. They express naturally through the peace they carry. When you enter a conversation with awareness, you don't speak to be heard. You speak to connect. Your words slow down. Your expressions align with meaning. The listener feels your sincerity before they understand your message. That emotional steadiness is what turns ordinary communication into influence. People who rush through life rarely realize how powerful stillness is. They fill silence because they're afraid of it, but the person who can remain calm in that silence controls the room without dominance. That control comes from self-mastery, from knowing that your value doesn't depend on constant movement. Stillness gives you presence, but awareness gives you direction. It allows you to sense when to speak and when to let the silence work for you. The calm person is never in a hurry to react. They choose their moments carefully, and that patience builds respect. True power is never loud. It's quiet, consistent, and deeply aware. The most magnetic people carry calmness like a steady heartbeat. Always there, always sure, never forced. They make others feel lighter simply by being themselves. So begin to practice quiet in small ways. Listen fully, move slowly, allow silence to stretch a little longer than usual. You'll notice how people start paying closer attention. That's when you'll understand that the most beautiful form of presence doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being felt. Your peace is your power. Protect it, nurture it, and let it speak for you. Chapter 2. The Language of the Eyes. The eyes are the first language of attraction, the kind that speaks before the voice can find words. A single glance can express what entire sentences fail to say, because the eyes reveal what the heart tries to hide. You can pretend with your words, but your eyes always tell the truth of what you feel inside. People who understand silent connection use their eyes differently. They don't stare, they observe. Their gaze doesn't demand attention, it invites it. Calm eyes don't chase, they hold. They make people feel seen without being studied. That kind of connection feels personal, safe, and quietly powerful. When your energy is grounded, your eyes soften naturally. You don't need to force intensity or control your expression. The stillness inside you translates through your gaze, giving it warmth and depth. It's not about being mysterious. It's about being present enough to truly see the person in front of you. True charisma is not in a sharp look, it's in an aware one. When you meet someone's eyes with peace instead of performance, they sense authenticity. They feel understood even before you speak. That's the kind of presence people crave, the feeling that you're not just looking at them, but truly noticing them. Most people look, but never see. They glance quickly, waiting for their turn to speak. But those who slow down and look with intention change how the world responds to them. Because when you see deeply, people open up. They drop their guard. They begin to mirror your calmness without even realizing it. In silence, the eyes become the bridge between two energies. They say what the mind can't form yet. They express respect, empathy, confidence, and curiosity all at once. When your inner world is peaceful, your gaze reflects that balance, and it draws people closer without resistance. The secret is not in trying to control your eyes. It's in learning to control your thoughts. Whatever you think radiates through your expression. If your mind is scattered, your gaze feels uncertain. But if your mind is calm, your eyes hold steady, and people feel it. That's what silent magnetism truly means, the ability to communicate through energy, not effort. To master this, practice awareness in small moments. When you speak to someone, slow down your attention. Notice how your eyes feel when you listen with genuine care. Allow your energy to settle before you respond. The more peace you hold inside, the more people will sense it without you saying a word. Your eyes are the quiet messengers of your soul. When they carry peace, they don't just see the world, they change the way the world sees you. When your eyes speak from peace, they hold more strength than any practiced line could ever achieve. People are drawn to that calm steadiness because it carries honesty. It's the kind of expression that can't be rehearsed, because it's created by who you truly are, not by what you're trying to show. You see, the eyes don't need to work hard when the soul is steady. They simply reflect the truth that already exists within you. When your emotions are balanced, your gaze becomes grounded. It feels real, it feels sincere, and that truth creates comfort for those who meet it. Silent attraction is never about intensity, it's about clarity. When someone looks into calm eyes, they feel safe to be themselves. They no longer feel observed, they feel understood. That is why people trust those who listen with their eyes more than those who speak with their mouths. It's not about how long you hold eye contact. It's about what your presence says during it. When your gaze carries softness, not judgment, it turns into connection. When your attention feels full, not forced, it turns into warmth. And when your energy feels calm, not cold, it becomes magnetic. Your gaze becomes more powerful when it's no longer about control, but curiosity. You start seeing others, not as interruptions, but as reflections. You notice emotions, small details, unspoken feelings. You begin to read what people don't say, and that awareness builds quiet empathy within you. Empathy doesn't need words, it needs presence. When someone feels seen without explanation, they open up without resistance. That is the real gift of calm eyes. They disarm without effort. They don't push, they receive. They don't demand, they understand. And that subtle understanding stays long after the moment has passed. This level of silent communication comes only from self-control. The more you master your reactions, the more steady your gaze becomes. The more peace you hold inside, the more peace you give. People start to mirror that peace, and that's when you realize that stillness isn't just attractive, it's healing. So practice awareness in every interaction. Let your eyes hold kindness even when your words are few. Let your presence listen more than your voice speaks. When calmness lives inside you, it shows through your expression effortlessly. In the end, your gaze becomes your message, your stillness becomes your signature, and your silence becomes the language everyone understands without translation. Chapter 3. The Calm Within Chaos. There comes a point in life when you realize that calmness is not something you find outside of yourself. It's something you build within. The world will always move fast. People will always demand more, and moments will always try to pull you into their noise. But the one who learns to stay still when everything else rushes forward, that person holds the kind of strength that can't be shaken. Calmness in chaos is not about ignoring the storm. It's about learning to breathe inside it. Every day presents small moments that test your balance. Someone's words may sting, a plan may fall apart, or pressure may rise until it feels impossible to think clearly. But the way you respond in those moments shapes your energy more than any success or failure ever could. When you choose calmness over reaction, you reclaim control. You protect your peace. You remind yourself that your emotions belong to you, not to the situation that triggered them. True composure begins with awareness. You cannot control everything that happens, but you can control the space between what happens and how you respond. That small gap is your power. In that space lives patience, reflection, understanding, and grace. The more you learn to expand that space, the stronger your peace becomes. People who stay calm during chaos have trained their mind to pause before reacting. They don't rush to defend, they don't argue to win. They simply listen, breathe, and choose their response with intention. That patience confuses those who live in noise, because silence feels like control to those who cannot find it. Calmness becomes their shield, not because they are indifferent, but because they value their inner balance more than temporary satisfaction. This kind of composure is not built overnight. It grows each time you choose not to let the world pull you out of yourself. Every time you take a deep breath instead of reacting. Every time you stay kind when it's easier to be angry. Every time you remain centered while others lose themselves. You are training your soul to remain unshaken. That is how true strength is built, quietly, through moments no one sees. Chaos will always exist, but it doesn't have to exist within you. You are allowed to be calm, even when everything around you isn't. You are allowed to take a moment, to step back, to breathe slowly until peace returns. Calmness doesn't mean weakness. It means you have mastered yourself enough to remain gentle in a world that often forgets how. Your stillness is not escape, it is wisdom. It's the art of staying whole in a world that constantly asks you to break. And once you understand that, you stop fighting chaos and start flowing through it, steady, aware, and completely in control of your energy. When life becomes heavy and the noise around you grows louder, remember that peace isn't the absence of chaos, it's the ability to stand inside it without losing yourself. Calmness is not found in escaping the storm, but in learning to move through it with awareness. You begin to see that life doesn't always need to be controlled. Sometimes it just needs to be observed. Those who find peace in disorder understand that not every reaction deserves their energy. They don't rush to defend their image, they don't argue to prove a point, and they don't let temporary moments steal their permanent balance. They have learned that silence is often more powerful than explanation, and that stillness can resolve what noise only complicates. It takes practice to reach that state of calm. The mind will try to pull you into old patterns of reaction, but every moment of restraint is a moment of growth. When you learn to stay centered, even when provoked, you teach your emotions who is in charge. And in that quiet victory, you discover a freedom that few people ever experience. The freedom to remain peaceful no matter what happens outside of you. Calm people are not born that way. They are shaped by moments that tested their patience and demanded their strength. They have felt the weight of anger, they have seen the chaos of rushing decisions, and they have learned that peace is always the wiser path. Each challenge that could have broken them instead became another lesson in self-control. Over time, calmness became their default language. There will always be things beyond your control, people, outcomes, opinions, and timing, but your reaction, that is yours entirely. The more you train yourself to pause, the more powerful that pause becomes. It allows wisdom to enter before words escape. It gives you the grace to respond with clarity instead of confusion, and it transforms situations that once overwhelmed you into opportunities to practice mastery. The calm mind doesn't deny pain, it processes it differently. It accepts emotions without being consumed by them. It feels everything, but it doesn't drown in anything. That kind of control doesn't make you less human. It makes you more aware of your humanity. You stop being ruled by your feelings, and instead you learn to work with them. The world respects the person who can stay composed under pressure, not because they appear strong, but because their steadiness reminds others of what peace looks like. In a sea of reaction, stillness becomes leadership. It becomes power without aggression, confidence without arrogance, and grace without weakness. You can't stop the storm, but you can become the calm within it. And once you do, you'll realize that peace was never something to be found. It was something you were meant to create. Chapter 4: The Unspoken Body. Long before words are heard, the body begins to speak. Every movement, every gesture, every small detail carries a silent message about who you are and what you feel inside. People may not always hear your voice, but they always read your energy. The way you walk, the way you stand, even the way you pause. It all tells a story. The unspoken language of the body is often the first thing people respond to, even before a single word is exchanged. Your posture, your rhythm, your stillness. They reveal the level of confidence and peace you carry within. A restless mind creates restless movement, but a calm soul moves slowly, gracefully, as if in harmony with the world around it. That harmony is what people notice first. Every gesture communicates emotion. A quick movement might reveal impatience, a gentle motion might show empathy, and a relaxed stance might communicate trust. Those who master silent attraction learn to move with awareness. They understand that confidence doesn't come from how much space you take, but from how at ease you are in your own space. When your body follows the rhythm of calm, it naturally draws attention without effort. People feel your control in the way you breathe, in the stillness between gestures, and in the balance of your presence. The body that moves with peace feels different. It doesn't rush. It doesn't compete. It flows. That flow creates comfort. Most people never realize how powerful small details can be. The way you hold eye contact, the softness in your facial expression, or the calmness in your hands when you speak. These things define how others experience your energy. A steady presence relaxes those around you. It tells them subconsciously that they are safe in your company. This is why people remember those who move with grace. Grace is not about perfection or rehearsed gestures. It's about alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and body act as one, you create a natural rhythm that others can feel. They sense the truth behind your silence. To master this, start with awareness. Notice your movements throughout the day. Are they rushed or intentional? Do they reflect anxiety or ease? As you bring attention to your body, it begins to align with your inner calm. Over time, your gestures start carrying confidence without having to express it verbally. When peace lives within you, your body becomes a mirror of that peace. You no longer try to impress, you express. You no longer perform, you exist. And that stillness, that quiet certainty in every motion, becomes your most beautiful form of communication. The most powerful people are not the ones who speak the most, but the ones whose silence has weight. When your body holds calmness, you don't have to prove your presence. It's already felt. You stand differently, breathe differently, and the space around you begins to mirror that quiet steadiness. Calm energy has a gravity of its own. It gently pulls everything toward balance. Your body becomes an anchor in moments of tension. When others panic, your stillness steadies the room. When others rush, your slow movement reminds them to breathe. This kind of composure is not about suppressing emotion. It's about guiding it. You begin to understand that control is not stiffness, but awareness. It's the art of moving with purpose instead of reacting from pressure. People often mistake calm posture for arrogance, but it's the opposite. True calmness is rooted in humility. It comes from knowing that you don't need to dominate space to belong in it. You don't take attention, you allow it to come naturally. That quiet humility is magnetic because it's rare. The world is full of noise, and the person who can remain still in that noise becomes unforgettable. When your body carries peace, it speaks trust. People relax near you without realizing why. They mirror your breathing, match your pace, and align with your energy. This is the unseen influence of calmness. It creates an environment where others feel balanced simply by being near you. Your presence becomes a silent reminder of stability in a world that constantly demands motion. To build this kind of unspoken strength, you must start with awareness of your body. Notice how you move when you're anxious. Your shoulders tighten, your steps quicken, your breathing shortens. Then notice how everything changes when you slow down, when you take one mindful breath before you act. That single pause holds more power than most people realize. It transforms your movement from reaction to intention. The truth is, the body never lies. You can try to sound calm, but if your body is restless, people will feel it. You can say you're confident, but if your posture collapses, your words lose meaning. Every part of you communicates your inner world, and when that world is at peace, everything you do radiates authenticity. Graceful presence isn't born from trying to look composed. It's born from being aligned. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions work together, your gestures begin to move in rhythm with truth. You no longer waste energy pretending to be calm, because calmness becomes your natural state. Remember, the most magnetic expression of confidence doesn't shout, it flows quietly through movement that feels whole. The way you stand, the way you breathe, the way you turn your attention, it all becomes a silent language of self-respect. And when you master that, your body no longer follows your mind. It becomes the messenger of your peace. Chapter 5. The Energy of Minimalism. In a world obsessed with more, there is a quiet power in less. Simplicity has its own kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't need decoration to be seen. When you remove the excess, whether in your words, your style, or your energy, what remains becomes purer, stronger, and more meaningful. Minimalism is not emptiness. It's refinement. It's the art of keeping only what carries truth. The most attractive energy is often the one that feels uncluttered. When someone speaks clearly, moves with purpose, and lives without the constant noise of overcomplication, they become naturally magnetic. People feel drawn to that kind of balance because it creates space. It gives room for breath, thought, and emotion. In simplicity, others find peace. You can feel this in everything, in the tone of your voice, in the calmness of your body, in the ease of your gestures. When your presence isn't crowded by unnecessary performance, it becomes grounded. The more you let go of what is heavy and artificial, the more your true energy begins to shine through. Authenticity doesn't need volume, it needs clarity. Minimalism is not just about what you own, it's about what you allow. Every conversation, every thought, every emotion you hold carries energy. When you choose carefully where your attention goes, your presence begins to feel lighter and more powerful. That lightness is not weakness, it's control. It shows you are no longer weighed down by the need to impress. True elegance lies in restraint, in how much you choose not to say, in how you allow silence to breathe, in how your calm becomes your expression. Those who understand this don't compete for attention, they attract it by existing with ease. People are drawn to those who don't need to prove they belong, because belonging is already written in their energy. There's beauty in clarity, the kind that comes when you stop trying to fill every space with sound or movement. When you simplify your life, your mind quiets. When your mind quiets, your energy strengthens. The fewer distractions you carry, the more focused your presence becomes. And that focus, that inner alignment, becomes visible to everyone around you. You start realizing that minimalism isn't about less of everything. It's about more of what matters, more awareness, more peace, more intention. It's about letting your presence speak so clearly that you no longer need to explain yourself. It's not about denying the world. It's about experiencing it fully without being buried under it. Simplicity isn't silence, but it creates the space where true expression can exist. When your life becomes lighter, your aura becomes brighter. And when your presence feels calm and uncluttered, people find comfort in it. That is the energy of minimalism. Quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself because it's already understood. Minimalism in energy is not about taking away your emotions. It's about removing the noise that hides their truth. When your thoughts are clear, your energy becomes light. When your space feels open, your presence feels stronger. People sense that lightness because calm energy feels like freedom. It allows them to breathe easier around you. Every unnecessary effort, every forced expression, every attempt to please slowly weakens your natural strength. But when you choose to move with intention, when you speak with purpose instead of reaction, you begin to project a quiet kind of confidence. It's not about doing less. It's about doing only what feels real. In a world full of effort, authenticity stands out effortlessly. Those who live with minimal energy move gracefully through life. They are not drained by trying to be everything to everyone. They value their peace more than approval, and that decision makes their presence sharp and focused. You can feel that clarity. It's calm but certain, soft but strong. They don't seek attention, but attention always finds them. Minimalism teaches you to protect your energy. You start to notice where your peace disappears, the conversations, the habits, the environments that steal it, and slowly you let them go. The more you release, the more room you create for stillness to grow. The fewer things you chase, the closer you move to balance. And in that balance, your confidence becomes natural again. A calm presence doesn't come from pretending. It comes from pruning, from knowing what no longer belongs in your life and having the courage to let it fall away. You learn to walk lighter, to think softer, to choose silence over explanation and peace over reaction. This is how minimalism begins to shape not just your surroundings, but your soul. People will feel that transformation long before they understand it. They'll notice how your words carry more meaning because you don't waste them. They'll notice how your movements feel deliberate, how your eyes hold attention without force. That's what happens when your energy is uncluttered. It becomes clean, centered, and deeply magnetic. The truth is, you don't have to add more to become attractive. You simply have to remove what's unnecessary. Every time you let go of what isn't aligned, you return closer to your natural rhythm, the one that doesn't shout, but resonates quietly, deeply, and beautifully. Minimalism isn't a lack of expression, it's a refinement of it. It's understanding that presence doesn't need noise, strength doesn't need tension, and beauty doesn't need attention. When your energy becomes pure, you become impossible to ignore, not because you try to stand out, but because you finally stand still. Chapter 6. Emotional Stillness. Emotional stillness is not the absence of feeling, it's the mastery of it. It's the point where your emotions stop controlling you, and you begin to guide them with awareness. Life will always test your balance with uncertainty, disappointment, and change. But when you build stillness within, nothing outside of you can take away your peace. Stillness does not make you cold, it makes you clear. The calm person feels everything. They just no longer drown in it. They allow emotions to flow through them without resistance. They don't suppress anger, sadness, or fear. They observe them, understand them, and let them pass. That space between emotion and reaction becomes their strength. It's in that space that emotional maturity begins to grow. You cannot control what comes to your heart, but you can control what stays there. When you choose peace over reaction, forgiveness over ego, and patience over pride, you begin to build an emotional foundation that nothing can shake. Stillness isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about knowing you can remain calm even when it isn't. Most people mistake emotional control for indifference. But calmness is not detachment. It's connection without chaos. It's feeling deeply without losing direction. It's having emotions, but also having enough wisdom to know when to let go. When your heart learns to breathe through pain instead of fighting it, you transform discomfort into depth. Emotional stillness requires honesty with yourself. You must allow your feelings to surface without fear. You must face what hurts and listen to what your silence is trying to tell you. The more you understand your emotions, the less they frighten you. Awareness becomes your anchor, grounding you through every storm that comes. The person who learns to remain calm while feeling deeply is rare. Their energy feels different. It's soft but unbreakable, gentle but certain. They can hold emotion without collapsing under it. That kind of strength doesn't shout. It's quiet, steady, and deeply human. It makes people trust you because they can sense that you won't be swept away by the waves of life. Stillness doesn't erase emotion. It refines it. It teaches you to express love without attachment, to show care without control, and to forgive without weakness. You begin to respond with understanding rather than impulse. And that emotional clarity turns every interaction into something meaningful. The world often confuses chaos with passion, but the truth is, peace feels deeper. It lasts longer. Emotional stillness isn't an escape from feeling. It's the art of feeling fully without letting it consume your calm. It's the ability to carry your heart gently, no matter how heavy it becomes. When you master that, your emotions no longer move you out of balance, they move through you, and you remain whole. Emotional stillness is a discipline, one that must be built patiently, moment by moment. It isn't achieved by ignoring how you feel. It's earned by understanding why you feel. You begin to realize that every emotion carries a message. Anger reveals what matters to you. Sadness shows what you value. And fear points toward what you still need to heal. When you listen to these messages instead of fighting them, peace slowly finds its way back to you. The calm person is not the one who never feels pain, but the one who no longer lets pain define them. They give their emotions space to exist, but not permission to control their actions. Their peace is not the result of denial, it's the result of discipline. It's built through choosing patience when frustration rises, choosing grace when disappointment stings, and choosing understanding when pride demands defense. In moments of chaos, emotional stillness becomes your compass. You may not always know what to do, but you can always choose how to be. When you stay present, you begin to notice how quickly emotions come and go. They lose their power when you stop feeding them. The emotion that once felt like fire slowly becomes light, and that light begins to guide you toward calm understanding. Stillness teaches you to replace reaction with awareness. When something triggers you, pause before responding. Feel the emotion without rushing to express it. Let the energy settle before it leaves your body. In that pause, clarity appears. You start to see situations as they are, not as your emotions want them to be. And that difference changes everything. Emotional stillness is also about forgiveness, not for others first, but for yourself. You must forgive yourself for reacting, for overthinking, for breaking down, for being human. The goal isn't to become untouchable, it's to become understanding. You can't control your first feeling, but you can always control your next action. That choice defines your peace. People who carry emotional stillness radiate a rare kind of safety. Their energy feels grounded because they're not constantly chasing validation or running from pain. They don't hide behind words or noise. Their calm speaks for them, and people trust that calm because it feels real. It's not performance, it's alignment. With time, you realize that stillness isn't a destination, it's a practice. Every deep breath, every moment of restraint, every gentle response builds it. Each day gives you another chance to choose peace over chaos. And the more you choose it, the more natural it becomes. Emotional stillness doesn't mean you stop feeling, it means you start feeling wisely. It's the quiet understanding that peace is not given, it's created, and once you create it, nothing outside of you can take it away. Chapter 7. Mystery and Depth. There is something quietly magnetic about mystery. It isn't about hiding who you are, but about being so complete within yourself that not everything needs to be explained. The most intriguing people are not distant, they are whole. Their silence doesn't conceal emptiness. It protects depth. In a world that constantly overshares, a person who holds back becomes fascinating. They remind us that the most beautiful things are rarely announced. Mystery isn't about pretending to be complicated. It's about knowing that not every thought deserves to be spoken, not every emotion needs to be displayed, and not every part of you must be understood. When you carry depth, you understand that what is truly meaningful takes time to discover. You become the kind of person who draws curiosity naturally, not by design but by presence. Depth doesn't come from knowledge alone, it comes from stillness. When you spend time with yourself, when you learn your silence and understand your emotions, you begin to form layers within. You stop seeking entertainment in noise and start finding richness in reflection. That quiet reflection builds a gravity that pulls people toward you without trying. People often mistake openness for connection, but true connection doesn't come from oversharing. It comes from authenticity. You don't need to tell your story for others to feel it. They can sense it in your energy, in the calm behind your words, in the focus in your eyes. Your mystery becomes an invitation, not a barrier. It invites others to slow down and listen more closely. Mystery also creates respect. When you don't reveal everything, people learn to value what you do share. Your presence feels intentional, and your words carry weight. The less you speak, the more space you leave for curiosity to grow. And in that space, your silence becomes powerful, not because it hides something, but because it honors what's sacred within you. To embody mystery is to be comfortable with being misunderstood. It's knowing that not everyone deserves full access to your inner world. You share what is meaningful, not what is demanded. This is not arrogance, it's self-respect. Your peace is private, and your energy is selective. People feel that boundary and admire it, even if they can't name why. Depth grows through experience, reflection, and self-honesty. When you learn to be your own company, you begin to understand yourself beyond the surface. You stop chasing recognition because you no longer need to be seen to feel real. That quiet certainty is what makes mystery so magnetic. It's not about being unknown, it's about being fully known to yourself. A mysterious presence doesn't create distance. It creates intrigue. It tells the world that there's more to discover, that silence too can tell a story. And in that quiet depth, you become not just seen, but remembered. Mystery is not about silence for the sake of silence. It's about silence that carries meaning. It's the pause that lets emotion breathe, the distance that keeps curiosity alive, the balance between what is revealed and what is held sacred. People are drawn to mystery because it invites imagination, and imagination is where connection begins. When you live with depth, you don't rush to be understood. You understand that your truth cannot be compressed into quick explanations. You let people experience you slowly, through your consistency, your calmness, your presence. What makes depth attractive is not the desire to impress, but the refusal to perform. It's choosing authenticity over attention every time. The mysterious person doesn't avoid vulnerability. They simply choose who deserves it. They know that not everyone can handle the weight of sincerity, so they give it carefully. This restraint creates value. The moment you stop offering your energy to everyone, people start appreciating what you bring. Scarcity creates importance, and silence creates focus. Mystery also builds patience, in you and in others. When you stop explaining yourself constantly, you learn to live without external approval. You find confidence in your quiet certainty. Others begin to slow down in your presence, learning to listen more carefully, to pay attention not just to what you say, but to what you mean. That is the power of controlled expression. Depth isn't something you can show. It's something people feel when they're near you. It's in the weight of your words, in the warmth of your energy, in the stillness behind your actions. You don't need to prove your depth. Your calm will do it for you. True mystery lies in that calm, the quiet strength of someone who knows themselves well enough not to need constant validation. The world often mistakes loudness for confidence, but loudness is a form of insecurity. Real confidence whispers. It doesn't fight for space, it owns it through stillness. When you walk in peace, your silence becomes presence, your energy becomes command. You stop trying to be remembered because your authenticity already leaves a mark. To live with mystery is to embrace balance, to be open enough to connect, but private enough to protect your peace. It's about giving glimpses, not confessions. It's about letting people see your light, without exposing the flame that creates it. When you carry this awareness, your presence begins to feel rich, layered, and endlessly interesting. The more you learn to live this way, the more your silence starts to speak stories of its own. You realize that mystery is not about withholding truth, it's about valuing it. And once you understand that, your calm begins to shine with quiet depth, a kind of beauty that never fades, because it was never meant to impress, it was meant to last. Chapter 8. Inner Warmth and Empathy. There is a rare beauty in people who make others feel seen, not because they say the right words, but because their presence feels safe enough for others to be themselves. Inner warmth is that quiet comfort that asks for nothing yet gives everything. It's the kind of energy that can calm another person's heart without needing to speak. In a world where everyone is trying to be understood, empathy becomes a form of light. Warmth doesn't come from pretending to be kind. It comes from truly caring. It's built in small moments, when you listen without interrupting, when you offer silence instead of judgment, when you give space for others to unfold. These moments, though small, carry great power. They remind people that gentleness still exists, and that compassion is not weakness, but wisdom. Empathy is the bridge between souls. It connects without asking for anything in return. When you develop empathy, your presence changes. People begin to feel more at ease around you because they sense that your heart listens even when your mouth stays quiet. They feel accepted instead of analyzed, valued instead of compared. That acceptance creates trust, and trust is what draws people deeper. Inner warmth is not a performance. It's a reflection of peace. When you are kind to yourself, kindness flows naturally to others. You don't force it, you embody it. You stop seeing people as competition and start seeing them as reflection. Different stories carrying the same emotions you've felt before. That understanding is what makes empathy so powerful. It's not about feeling sorry for others. It's about remembering that you've been there too. When you walk through life with warmth, you soften the world around you. Your tone becomes gentle, your movements slower, your energy easier to approach. You no longer need to be loud to be heard, because the calm in your presence already speaks for you. The more you practice compassion, the stronger your presence becomes, not because you gain power, but because you give comfort. Empathy also means holding space for yourself. You cannot pour from an empty heart. You must first learn to sit with your own pain, your own silence, your own flaws, not with judgment, but with patience. When you make peace with your imperfections, you become the kind of person who gives others permission to do the same. That is how healing spreads, quietly, from one calm soul to another. The truly warm person doesn't try to fix people. They simply remind them that they are not broken. They listen, they care, they understand, and that alone is enough. The world remembers those who make it feel lighter, not louder, and the warmth you carry becomes your silent legacy, a quiet reminder that empathy is not spoken, it's felt. Warmth is not shown in grand gestures. It lives in the smallest details, the quiet moments when you choose kindness over pride, when you listen even when you're tired, when you smile even though the world seems cold. The people who carry warmth rarely talk about it, they simply live it. And somehow, everyone around them feels lighter because of it. Their energy doesn't enter the room to be noticed. It enters to bring peace. Empathy begins with awareness. When you are aware of your own emotions, you begin to notice them in others. You see their hesitation, their hidden hurt, their unspoken hope, and something inside you softens. You don't try to fix them. You simply hold space for them to feel. That kind of quiet care is what changes people, not loud promises or perfect advice. It is presence, not performance, that heals. The warm-hearted person moves through the world gently. They understand that everyone is fighting silent battles, that even the ones who smile the most are often the ones holding the heaviest pain. This understanding makes them patient. They no longer rush to judge, because they know how easily life can humble anyone. Their empathy becomes their strength. It allows them to connect deeply without losing themselves in the process. True empathy doesn't drain you when it's balanced with boundaries. You can be kind without being consumed, loving without losing your peace. It's not your job to carry everyone's pain, but you can choose to be the place where pain feels safe. That is what warmth does. It doesn't solve everything, but it reminds others that they're not alone. The calm person with a warm heart doesn't need to say, "I understand." Their energy already says it. When they look at you, you feel understood. When they listen, you feel heard. When they speak, you feel grounded. That is the magic of empathy. It turns presence into healing without ever announcing itself. Carrying warmth also means forgiving easily, not because others always deserve it, but because peace always does. You realize that holding on to resentment only burns your own energy. So you begin to let go, not for them, but for yourself. Forgiveness becomes your quiet declaration of freedom. Over time, this kind of empathy begins to glow. It radiates from your eyes, from your tone, from your silence. You start to see how people relax when you're near, how their voice softens, how their guard drops. They may not remember everything you say, but they'll always remember how safe they felt around you. That is the essence of inner warmth. Not to impress the world, but to soothe it. In the end, empathy becomes your language, warmth becomes your identity, and silence becomes your expression of care. The world doesn't need louder hearts, it needs softer ones. And when you live with that truth, you don't just touch lives, you heal them quietly. Chapter 9, Magnetic Mindset. A magnetic mindset isn't about positive thinking alone. It's about alignment. The quiet certainty that you are in control of how you see the world, even when the world is not in your control. The people who draw others naturally don't just carry charm in their personality. They carry clarity in their thoughts. Their energy feels focused, grounded, and unshaken. You can sense that they know where they stand, and that quiet confidence pulls everything toward them. Attraction, in its truest form, begins in the mind. When your thoughts are clear, your presence becomes powerful. The energy you hold within yourself becomes the message you send to the world. People who think in calm, certain patterns radiate stability, and stability feels safe. It feels magnetic. The mind that is at peace projects a kind of strength that doesn't need words to be felt. Your mindset is not just how you think, it's how you breathe, how you respond, how you recover. When you learn to see challenge as opportunity and failure as feedback, your energy stops breaking down under pressure. You stop fighting every moment and begin to flow through it. That quiet flow is what people notice most, the ability to stay balanced while everything else shifts. Magnetic people don't chase what they want, they align with it. They understand that what you attract matches the energy you hold. When your thoughts are filled with clarity instead of doubt and gratitude instead of fear, your frequency begins to shift. You no longer need to convince the world of your worth. You simply embody it. Your calm becomes the signal that draws the right energy toward you. A strong mindset doesn't mean you never feel doubt. It means doubt doesn't decide for you. You recognize your fears, but you don't give them the final say. You learn to move even when things are uncertain, because peace is not found in the absence of uncertainty. It's found in your ability to stay steady through it. To build a magnetic mindset, start by choosing your inner dialogue carefully. The words you speak to yourself become the foundation of your energy. If you speak with kindness, patience, and purpose, your energy softens and strengthens at the same time. That inner gentleness becomes outer confidence. People can feel when your calm is genuine. It has weight. It has trust. The mind that radiates peace is a mind that has made peace with itself. It no longer argues with reality. It flows with it. It doesn't waste time forcing what's not meant. It focuses on what it can grow. This calm acceptance doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful. Your mindset is the invisible force behind your presence. When it's calm, your energy feels like gravity. When it's balanced, your silence feels like confidence. And when it's focused, your life begins to align effortlessly with what you once thought you had to chase. A magnetic mindset begins when you stop chasing control and start mastering your response. You realize that your true power lies not in changing every situation, but in choosing how to think within it. Calm thinkers are not lucky. They are trained. They have built discipline in the silence of their mind. They know that thoughts shape emotions, and emotions shape energy. The calmer your thoughts, the clearer your energy becomes. When your thoughts are scattered, your focus weakens. But when your thoughts are centered, your energy sharpens like a beam of light. This is why calm people seem confident, because their attention isn't split between fear and faith. They move from intention, not from impulse. Their peace doesn't come from control, it comes from understanding. They trust themselves enough to let life unfold at its own rhythm. To build this mindset, you must start observing your thoughts as they appear. Notice how quickly doubt arrives and how easily comparison steals your peace. Each time you catch it and replace it with patience or gratitude, you strengthen your mind's balance. That quiet correction, repeated daily, is what turns overthinking into awareness. Soon, you begin to feel lighter. Gratitude is the root of magnetic energy. When you start appreciating the moment instead of judging it, your energy expands. You stop chasing validation and start radiating calm. People can feel when your mind is free from resentment. It feels warm and safe. Gratitude transforms ordinary days into lessons and chaos into direction. A grateful heart naturally attracts peace because it sees beauty even in what is imperfect. Confidence built on gratitude is silent and graceful. It doesn't need recognition to exist. It's the kind of steadiness that inspires without effort. When your mindset becomes gentle yet strong, your energy starts speaking louder than your words. People begin to trust you, not because of what you say, but because of how your presence feels. This is the true power of a magnetic mindset. It doesn't need to control, it learns to align. It doesn't demand change, it becomes change. Your thoughts decide your frequency, your calmness defines your clarity, and your clarity creates your peace. And when your peace becomes your identity, you stop chasing what was already meant to find you. Chapter 10. Legacy of Quiet Influence. The most powerful legacies are not built through noise, but through presence. The people who change the world in the deepest ways often do so quietly. They don't chase attention, yet their absence is felt. They don't demand recognition, yet their influence lingers long after they've left the room. Quiet influence is the art of leading through energy, not authority. It's the mark left by those who live with calm conviction. True influence doesn't come from forcing others to listen. It comes from living a life worth listening to. When your actions reflect patience, kindness, and consistency, people learn from you even when you're not trying to teach. Your presence becomes a reminder that peace is powerful and that steadiness can be more persuasive than strength. In a world of constant noise, composure becomes unforgettable. Quiet influence grows from integrity, doing what is right even when no one is watching. It's the soft power of authenticity, where every decision carries honesty and every silence carries intention. When you remain genuine in moments of chaos, people notice. They see the difference between someone who speaks to impress and someone who speaks to express. That difference defines trust. The calm leader never rushes. They listen before reacting and observe before speaking. Their confidence is rooted not in dominance, but in understanding. They don't try to control others. They inspire self-control in those around them. Their influence spreads not through force, but through the quiet example of composure. It is leadership through stillness, a kind of strength that feels effortless because it's guided by clarity. Your quiet actions speak louder than any declaration ever could. The way you handle failure teaches more than how you celebrate success. The way you stay calm under criticism teaches more than how you speak in comfort. Every silent act of patience becomes a lesson for someone watching. That is how legacy is built, not by seeking followers, but by leaving a trail of peace for others to walk upon. You don't need to be the loudest to be remembered. You need to be the one who made people feel something meaningful. When your calmness steadied someone's fear, when your kindness softened someone's anger, when your silence offered comfort, that is influence. It lives not in words, but in how others grow because of your presence. Quiet influence is eternal because it's honest. Words can be forgotten, but energy never fades. When you live with peace, you leave behind an energy that continues to guide, comfort, and inspire long after you're gone. The calm you create today becomes the light someone else follows tomorrow. Real legacies aren't built on words carved in stone. They live in the quiet ways a person's energy lingers after they are gone. Influence is not measured by how many people you reach, but by how deeply you reach them. The calm person leaves behind a sense of safety, the memory of warmth, the feeling that peace is possible. Their legacy is invisible to the eye, but unforgettable to the heart. Quiet influence spreads through example. When you respond to anger with patience, someone learns restraint. When you listen without judgment, someone feels heard for the first time. When you live with purpose instead of noise, you show others that stillness can also be strength. The impact of calmness is subtle, but it's lasting because it teaches by experience rather than explanation. Every act of compassion you offer adds to that legacy. You may never know how deeply a simple kindness reaches, but energy never stops moving. A single moment of gentleness can echo through lives you'll never meet. That is the truth of quiet influence. It doesn't end when the moment ends. It continues, silently shaping the world around it. The world often celebrates loud victories, but time always remembers the quiet ones, the ones who healed without recognition, who forgave without applause, who stayed kind when life turned cruel. Their influence lives not in stories told about them, but in the peace that others carry because of them. That is the legacy of inner strength, calmness that becomes contagious, peace that becomes guidance. Your life too can be that quiet legacy. You don't have to change millions. You only have to live so honestly that the few who cross your path leave lighter than they arrived. Your energy will travel farther than you ever could, because peace always finds its way into the hearts that need it. The world is changed not by noise, but by the steady rhythm of those who refuse to lose their calm. In the end, silence is not emptiness. It is continuity. It's where the echo of your kindness lives long after your voice has faded. Every calm choice, every patient response, every gentle act is a thread in the fabric of your legacy. You may not see its pattern now, but one day it will be clear. Peace was the most powerful thing you ever left behind. Your quiet becomes your story, your stillness becomes your signature, and your kindness becomes your influence. That is how you live forever, not through fame or noise, but through calmness that outlasts time itself.